Hey, y'all. If you want to head to our website to check out all the different things Pizzazz offers, then just head to pizzazzart.com. That's PZAZZART.com. You will see our online memberships. We've got Kids Club memberships, our Lettering Club membership, our one project a month membership. We call that Paint and Praise. You will see some freebies that we've got there for you, and you'll see our local classes if you're local. So head to the website, check it out, pizzazzart.com, PZAZZART.com. Hey, y'all. It's Casey Hope from the Here's Hope podcast. Hope you are having a good Monday morning. I've got a question for you. Do you like to wait on things? Are you a naturally patient person, or do you kind of want things done quickly? For me, I know I do not like to wait. I don't like to wait in long lines at restaurants. In fact, I've been to several just this weekend, and they've said 2-hour waits, 3-hour waits, and we just left. No, thank you, not doing it. I don't want to wait. I don't like waiting at doctor's offices. I'm like, why don't you just tell me what time to be here and I will be here? I don't like waiting for the unnecessary hour or so. I don't like waiting on slow walkers or slow talkers. I just don't like to wait. What about you? Chances are, even if you are more patient than I am, you probably still have times that you don't like to wait, especially when it's waiting on God. When you've prayed and asked Him for intervention and it just feels like all you're doing is waiting. You don't see any movement. You just feel like you were just waiting for God to show up. When He's showed you maybe glimpses into what He's got for you, but at the moment, you don't see that. It just feels like a waiting game. You don't see movement. You don't see action. You feel like you're doubting even what He told you. You just are waiting. When you feel like life is not really moving forwards or not really backwards, it just feels like you are in this waiting game. Y'all, I want to tell you a story that happened to us this past week that to me was a powerful, powerful reminder that God allows the waiting because sometimes He is working in the waiting. My dad, he's had heart issues his whole life, but he's been kept it under control. He is a very active man just because he knows that he wants to keep his heart healthy. He had open heart surgery years back, probably 13 years back. And he is now an avid bike rider. He works out a couple of times a week. He does, lifts weights. He tries to keep his heart in shape, and he does a great job with it. But recently he was told he might have to have a valve replacement, and that kind of scared us a little bit. But, we were just kind of listening to what the doctor said. And they had put him on some new medicine. And we noticed that he started just losing stamina. Our daddy, who is used to riding a lot of miles on his bike, was suddenly having trouble walking up slight inclines. Or he would take a couple of steps up a stairway where he used to could do the whole thing, and he would have to stop and catch his breath. And we just noticed this and thought that maybe it had something to do with the valve, and just not really sure what was going on. Well, last week 2 weeks ago, I'm getting my days confused, but I called my parents to say, hey, y'all want to come to breakfast this morning? And my mom said, well, to tell you the truth, your dad is not doing good. He cannot walk across the room. He cannot walk across the room without giving out a breath. And I was like, Mom, that is so not normal. Y'all have got to call the doctor. So she did. She called the doctor because it was so out of just not normal for him. And so she called the doctor. At first, the first doctor we talked to kind of dismissed it and thought it was anxiety. And that didn't sit well with us. And so it's not anxiety. So we called another doctor who saw him. And when he saw him, he said, oh man, this is serious. He was talking to my brother, and my brother then relayed it to me. He said, your dad's heart rate is at a 30. And so my dad's heart rate was at 30, y'all, 30. He said, get him to the hospital as soon as you can. And so we took Dad to the hospital, and we're all like, well, no wonder he can't make it upstairs or across a room. His heart is not beating properly. It's 30 beats a minute. And so they take him into the hospital, and they have a plan. The plan is we have got to put a pacemaker in to get this heart up. And before we can do a pacemaker, we've got to do a heart cath. And so all of that was like, okay, let's take him off all of his medicine. Let's, just keep a watch on him. And then this heart cath and pacemaker was scheduled for Monday. So over the weekend, he's just being watched and monitored, but nothing really other than taking him off the medicine. And his heart rate stayed in that 30s. Every time we go in there to talk to him, we're looking at that monitor, and it stayed in that 30 range for 2 or 3 days. And here comes Monday, and that's the day he's going to get the pacemaker and the heart cath and all the things. And he really desired to go first early that morning. He said, I think I just want to go early in the morning. I've heard that more accidents are in the afternoon, and I don't know where he heard that from or if that's accurate, but that's what he thought. And so he said, I really want to go early in the morning. And we're like, okay, we want you to go early in the morning too. We want to get this fixed. And, early that morning on Monday morning, nobody came. We're just waiting. Then a nurse comes in. She says, we think you might go a little bit earlier because it looks like they're ahead of schedule. And so our hopes are up a little bit. And, but nothing really came about. We're just waiting. Hadn't seen the doctor, waiting our turn for him to go get the heart cath and then the pacemaker. And he didn't want to wait. He's an impatient man. He really wanted to go early in the day, but he didn't go. And what we saw throughout the day of waiting is his heart rate started going up. Suddenly it was at like 50. And then a few hours later, it was at 60. And then it was like at 80. And so then I'm thinking, does he even need a pacemaker? Like, what is happening right now? I don't know what's happening, but something is happening. His heart rate is coming up. Nothing has been done to him. Something good is happening, and I like what I'm seeing. Does he even need a pacemaker? And so they came in, and finally, at the end of the day, they were prepping him for the heart cath and pacemaker. They shaved him, all the things they do before doing that. They had him on this bed. They're rolling him out. They tell us, come on, family, y'all can follow us this way. And we're rolling down the hall at the hospital. And we hear the doctors say, is that, patient in room 221? And we're like, yeah. They said, roll him back in the room. And then they said, okay. I mean, they were literally rolling him into the operating room. And the doctor says, no, roll him back. And they said, well, the family has questions. And we said, we just are wondering, does he still need this pacemaker? Because suddenly his heart seems to be working pretty good. And they said, that's exactly what we're looking at. Roll him back in there. Let us look at this, and we're going to come back and talk to you. They came back. The 2 doctors came back after reviewing what had gone on during that waiting period. That waiting that we did not want to be waiting. But during that waiting period, they reviewed that, wow, the heart rate went up and up and up. And then they determined, a long story short, they determined, you know what? He does not need a pacemaker right now. He does not need a heart cath right now. We have the data now that we did not have this morning. We have the data now to make the call that no, in fact, he does not need all of this. They think that the medicine, once getting him off the medicine, was really one of the big culprits behind that low heart rate. And we were just like, praise Jesus that you did not just get rolled into an unnecessary procedure. Thank you, Lord, that we had the time of the day through that waiting period to allow his heart to work and get stronger, and for the doctors to see that data that they would not have seen had we gone first in the morning like we wanted to. And y'all, that was just a powerful, powerful example to me of how so often we want things done quick and on our timetable. And if we will just wait on the Lord. Now that time, we didn't really have a choice to wait. That wasn't our choice. But through the waiting, God was working. If we had not waited, the doctors would not have the data to make the call that they had. The Bible is full of verses about waiting for the Lord. And I think sometimes we go over them quickly, but I just want to read some of these to you that might encourage you if you're in a waiting season right now. I'm just going to read through some of these. Psalms 27:14. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Isaiah 40:31. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall walk and not be weary. They shall run and not be faint. I think I just read those 2 words backwards. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Lamentations 3:25. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. If you are in a season of waiting, I just want to encourage you. Just because it feels like there's not any movement or it seems like there's not any movement, God very well may be working in your waiting. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep your eyes open to what is being produced in you and in your faith during this waiting season. I want to leave you with one more verse, which is Psalms 62:5. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. Our hope is from him. Wait in the Lord, and you can be assured that he is working in the waiting. I hope y'all enjoyed that podcast. Y'all be sure to go like, subscribe this, leave a review. Let us know how you're liking it. We like that feedback. And if you want to follow us on other social platforms, on Instagram, it's Pizzazz Art Studio. Same for Facebook. And Pizzazz is P-Z-A-Z-Z. Pizzazz Art Studio. Go check us out and see what all we have to offer over there.